Welcome back to the show, everyone. This is your host, Larry Lou, and this is T3Podecast, Transformation Through Truth. And I have a question for you today. Got to thinking, and this question was really on my mind, so I thought I would present it to you to see how you felt about it, because it kind of made me a little confused a little bit. Got me just to really thinking what it is that I really want. So the question is, first question, how do you know if your husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever loves you or not? That's the first question. How does one really know that? Now, when that question is asked and people start to think, a lot of times what they do is they start talking about, well, this person does this for me, that person does that for me, and they look out and they've always been there. And I don't dispute that, but I do wonder why people just always go directly to examples of what a person does for them. So if we think about it, if a person doesn't do any of those things, does that mean that a person loves them or not? And most people get stuck because they can't reference anything other than what somebody does for them if that's not what's being done. So my other question is this. If we've come to the conclusion that love is what a person does, which I'm cool with that. Love as being an action. Does it matter if someone chooses to love you freely or love you out of obligation? Does it matter if someone freely gives you their love or if they feel like they have to do what it is that they're doing for you? Before we answer the question, let's really look at it. If we look at obligation, anytime a person feels obligated, 9 times out of 10, they're going to be resentful. They will become moody, quick to anger. And if we're talking about relationships, intimate relationships, intimacy will suffer because their heart is not into the relationship per se. If it's obligated, if it's something that they feel like they're doing because they have to do. And let's not forget that if we're talking about love in a relationship and I'm feeling obligated to be here, it's probably not romantic. There's probably no romance going on in the relationship. So that's obligation. Couple examples of what would happen if a person felt obligated. Now, if a person is loving you freely, then, you can say the intimacy is there, a person feels safe, the relationship is trusting, there's passion, there's romance. So when we put those two up against each other, it's almost a no-brainer. When I was doing this, my wife had heard me, and she heard me like on this part when I was kind of just going through it and getting my thoughts together. She was like, "Choice, don't nobody want obligation and this and that and the other." I said, "Well, wait till you watch the podcast and we'll see what you think." And it was kind of funny, but right off rip, she's like, "Choice, nobody." And I will say that I can't say I disagree. So because it seems like a no-brainer to pick choice over obligation. It's more sincere. It's I love you because I want to, not because I have to. But here's the twist. What may have started out as choice can end up feeling like obligation. And when that happens, what do? How do we handle it? What was once a choice now feels like an obligation. This is a common issue in relationships. Common issue in relationships. Here's one of the most common answers. Well, in order for that not to happen, a person has to keep doing what they were doing in the beginning of the relationship. They have to do whatever they were doing to get them. They have to continue to do that to keep them. Makes sense. I hear a lot of people say that. And I'm not necessarily disagreeing with it either. But is that sustainable over a long period of time? Now, we're not talking about in a relationship for a year or 2 years or 3 years. I'm talking about maybe a minimum of 5 years. And people who have been in a relationship for 10, 15, 20, they really probably know better than others who've been in relationships a lot shorter time. They probably really know what it is that I'm talking about. How a choice, what started us as a choice, ends up feeling like an obligation. So the comment, number one, need to do what you did in the beginning. Whatever you was doing to get me, you need to continue to do that to keep me. Is it sustainable? There's one pushback that I'm gonna give to that comment, and that is the only thing in life that's constant is change. Things change. Things change all the time. So, as good as that sounds, is it realistic? And there are reasons why I say, is it realistic? One of the reasons is disposition. People's disposition change. Another reason is people's circumstances change. So you got disposition and you got circumstances. So what I mean by disposition, when you meet a person, they may be just a normal everyday person, and maybe they drink and eat what they want, and maybe they go out clubbing and gambling and doing whatever. And I'm not saying that those things are bad, but let's say they catch religion. So now their disposition may change. Maybe they become Muslim, so they don't eat pork or eat this. They don't smoke anymore. They don't gamble because that's against their religion. Disposition changes. Weight. And let me just say this. It's funny how that comment that I made, the majority of that comment that was stated is by women. Women say that a lot. But what's funny is, I don't know if they think clearly when they're saying that, when at one point, a lot of you women, and I'm not trying to be harsh, but this is truth. And if we want to transform, we need the truth. At one point in time, you might have been $1.05, soaking wet. Now you a $5 bill. Your weight is not the same. And when that guy met you, when he met you at that $1.05, $1.20, $1.30, whatever. Now you that $5 bill. So now what? Because your disposition has changed. What he was attracted to, he may no longer be attracted to that, but you're not yelling and screaming about how you need to get back to that weight. Some of you all talk about it, but you're not really about it. So again, my point to that, again, wasn't to be rude, wasn't to be harsh, but things change. And the funny thing is, when you talk about, if we're talking about weight, and you talk about how you do want to lose weight, but you don't, all it shows is that you're not disciplined. Because that's what needs to happen. With anything that you really want, you need discipline. Number one, I don't care if it's a weight loss program. I don't care if it's on how to better yourself at some type of skill, whatever. You need discipline. A person can write it out and tell you exactly what it is that you need to do to accomplish A, B, and C. Just having it written out and a person giving it to you, or a person telling you, is not going to change anything. The action behind whatever it is that is given is what's going to change your circumstances. And with that, you need discipline. Number one on the list is to be able to have control when I might want to lose control. When I might not feel like doing it, I need to do it anyway. So when you want that ice cream, when you want those cookies, you need to have discipline, enough discipline to not fall into the urge and the overwhelming feeling that you feel about wanting those snacks. You don't want to fall into that trap of giving in to that urge. You just need to get through it. You need to suffer through it. And then let's talk about circumstance. Here it is, you dating a guy and you going out on trips. He taking you to the best restaurants. That's what y'all women want, right? Y'all want the best of everything. The guy need to pay. He need to do this for me. He need to do that for me. I don't know what y'all doing, but this is what y'all say. We ain't gonna get into that right now. But the situation changed because he was taking money out of his 401k to please you, because he knew and he was self-conscious of the fact, well, if I don't do this for her, she's not gonna go out with me. So now the 401k is bankrupt. You find out that this is really not the person who you thought he was. And all he's doing by doing that is showing that he cares more about his self-image than about the truth. Which would be, I only got so much money. If you can't accept me for who I am and how much money I make, then maybe, you need to go and find whoever that person is that is a better fit for you. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But he wants to be dishonest. That's what it's showing. And he's more about his self-image, how it look, him being with you, and he got a nice one and this and that and other. So he's being dishonest about who he really is in order to have you. So now when the 401k is bankrupt, his circumstances change. He can't do all that no more. So again, my point is things change. That's my point. And then this is the big one. Talk about relationships, right? Habituation. The number one killer in all relationships is habituation. So what is habituation? So I'm going to read you the scientific definition of habituation. Repeated exposure to a very positive stimulus leads to an increasingly negative emotional response to it. To break it down specifically to relationships would be a repeated exposure to sexual stimulus. Repeated exposure to sexual stimulus reduces sexual attraction. Repeated exposure to sexual stimuli reduces sexual attraction. Number one killer in all relationships, habituation. Again, my point is things change. Even if you don't mean for them to change, they're going to change because the only thing that truly is constant in life is change. So, we talked about disposition, we talked about circumstances, we talked about habituation. And originally, my original question was, how do you know if a person really loves you? And how what once started as choice turns into a feeling of obligation. So how do we stay together? How do we make this thing work? How do we make these relationships work? Before I finish, I know a lot of women, I'm gonna go back to her habituation for a minute, because I know a lot of women they hate that answer. Men always talk about how, they can step out and still love you. But y'all don't want to hear that. Okay. So let me try to explain it as best as I can by using the examples that I already used. And I'm hoping this may give you a better understanding. You may accept it more. I'm probably a little overconfident that you will, but we're going to give it a shot. Man likes variety. I mean, even you women. I'm saying man in general, mankind. We like variety, but a lot of you all handle being in a relationship better than men do, as far as the not being bored, not wanting to step out, because in our minds, the only thing better than sex is new sex. And if you ever watch The Best Man, Terrence Howard line, oh man. But I'm not gonna say it. We're gonna keep it clean. But if y'all seen The First Best Man, you all know what I'm talking about. But that's a very true statement, whether you like it or not, whether you want to believe it or not. For us. And I would like to think you all wouldn't mind a variety, but again, you all are better handling that than we are. I will give you that. But I would think that you will believe me and get a better understanding when I give you this example. We talked about your disposition with your weight. Women always talk about how they want to lose weight. All the time. Oh, I just need to get this weight off. If I can only do this, I'm going to work out. I'm going to do this. Next week or this and that, I'm going to get started. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to do all this. And it's all this talk. Talk. And you try, go on diets, you work out, diet programs or diet coaches, whatever the case may be. And you realize how hard it is for you to lose weight. You realize and you feel the struggle of wanting that ice cream, wanting those cookies, wanting that cake, wanting that chocolate, wanting those potato chips. You feel it calling you. And in your mind, you say, but I know I can't do it. I'm trying to lose weight. And, I want to get back to my regular size. And because you sincerely want to. I 100% believe that you sincerely want to lose weight. But you say it yourself. It is so hard. And when those urges come up of wanting those snacks that you shouldn't have, that you're going to regret later, you eat them anyway. You eat them anyway. It's the same thing with us and women. That same feeling, that same urge you have about those snacks and about food you shouldn't eat is the same urge that we have about other women when we see them. Same thing. See, what you don't know and what people haven't told you is that food and sex are on the same reward, are in the same reward center in the brain. So they operate identically. We see women, we want it. Our bodies crave it. And we have to try our best to resist it. Just like you do with food. And again, I'm not saying this to be harsh. We talking about truth. Facts. I know you all can't be men and understand what we're going through, but that's the closest thing that I could think of to get you to try to at least understand a little bit or better than you did before. Because I know some of y'all just are not going to agree with it, no matter what anybody says. I get it. Because not all men cheat. That's true. Takes discipline. You need discipline. I need discipline. That's where it all starts. So I wanted to throw that in there. But to finish up, how do we make a relationship survive when choice is now feeling like an obligation? Most people, by what we just discussed, will tell you they don't want a relationship or be loved out of obligation. Like I told you, my wife said, I don't want no obligation. Who wants that? I agree, but here's the kicker. While the choice of love is what gets you, love out of obligation is what is going to keep you. Let me say that one more time. While the choice of love is what gets you, is what gets us, love out of obligation is what's going to keep us, is what's going to keep you. Well, Layla, what you mean? I'm going to tell you what I mean. Because of feelings and how they come and how they go, how they're so flaky. If we live on the basis of how we feel alone, no one will be together at all. 99% will not stay together based off of feelings, because there will come a time where you will not want to be with this individual for whatever reason. I can name a million of them. You're not going to feel like loving this individual. You're not going to feel like being around this individual. This individual is going to irritate you. And so out of choice, you can be like, I'm out. And some people wouldn't think twice or ridicule you, depending on especially what someone may have did. Yeah, you should leave her after what she did. You should leave him because he ain't no good, right? We hear it all the time. But the obligation at that point may have to kick in because of the way we feel. Now, some of you probably saying, well, I hear you, but I don't like that obligation. You know what the obligation of love is? You know what love is birthed out of obligation? Agape. The love that everyone wants and everyone desires. Agape love. Unconditional love is not birthed out of feelings. It's born out of duty. So in actuality, when we always want to go to one side or the other. It's either or. That's what we've been taught. It's all about duality. It's either this or that. It can't be both. But this is what this is. Choice may get us together, but obligation is what's going to probably keep us together. They work hand in hand. And they go back and forth. Sometimes you need to feel obligated to be with this individual because you wouldn't stay. Because the feeling is not always going to be there. It's just not. So when that choice changes into obligation, that's part of a real relationship, not a fly-by-night relationship. That's that work that everybody talk about real relationships take. But guess what? I don't think anybody has agape 100%. I don't think they figured it out. I think that's a divine love that we are all attempting to chase, or most of us are attempting to chase, but it's difficult. Because remember what agape love is. Unconditional. I don't care what somebody do, you got to love them anyway. I know this prophet in the Bible named Malachi. And God told him to go marry a prostitute. He told this man to go marry a prostitute. And said, I don't care how many men she sleep with, you better not leave her. That's agape love. You better not leave her. And now I know that was God's way of showing his love to his people. And that's the love that he wants us to have. But that takes a lot of work. Takes a lot of suffering. And I'm not saying that I got it. I don't want you to mistake what I'm saying as if I got it, because I know I don't. I strive. And right now, that's the best answer I can give you. That's the best answer that I can give you. So we need both, people. We need both. But I believe as we begin to heal, all these things will become evident. We need both. It's not either or. We need to get out of that dichotomy of it's either this or it's that. We need integration. Integration. That's the main purpose. Integrating. Then we will start seeing things in a different light. Larry Lou. Elevation is in order. The pain you feel today will be the strength you carry tomorrow. Peace.